Hey everybody, Nancy here from American Pet Professionals. Happy Tuesday, and we are here for our next episode of Digging into the Pet Industry. And we are multi-streaming on different platforms, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. So wherever you're watching from, thank you for watching. And I am so excited to bring to you today APP VIP member Jane Bond from Eco Dog Care. Hey Jane.
Hi, Nance.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little scared by that intro. I was like, ooh.
Don't be scared. Come on. You know
The
I don't
scene
bite.
and the dancing.
I know. You're not going to be forced to dance unless you want to.
No.
So, everybody, Jane Bond is from Eco Dog Care. And Jane, here on Digging into the Pet Industry, we jump right in. So, tell me how you got started in the pet industry.
Okay. My sister actually sent me a text one morning back in 2009, and she said, "So, do you want to go into a business with me?" And I said, "What kind of business?" And she says, "Well, something to do with caring for pets." My sister's a real expert in dog care. She has a lot of experience with agility training, and she was really tired of her high pressure sales job. She was an executive salesperson at AT&T, and she just couldn't stand it anymore. And I said, "Well, as long as it's eco-centric, sure, we're good." So she said, "Well, that's good. Well, that's it." That's pretty much how it started. A text one morning, and just threw ourselves in. So she lives in Los Angeles, and and I live here in New Jersey.
So a text like, "Hey, I want to get out of corporate," kind of like what's been going on in the last 2 years, right? The Great
Yep,
Resignation. And you said
exactly.
2009?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2009. So what was your response to that text? She
Well,
lost her mind or
I'm, I don't know. I'm a little bit used to her being not really impulsive, but not having a lot of fear about stuff. And I had just left AT&T. I have MS, and so I went out on a disability from AT&T after 27 years. So I was at that point trying to think, well, what should I be doing, kind of thing. And I was kind of blown away, but it also made so much sense because I knew how sad and unsettled she was being in sales. She was really good at it. She made a stupid amount of money, but it really tore her up. It really chewed her up to be under pressure like that. So I was both like my head going, "Oh my God," and the rest of me saying, "Well, you know what? That kind of makes sense."
Right, right. So when did you guys officially say after that text, like, okay, this is what you want to do? Because which came first, the product line that you have, or the Doggy Day Care?
The Doggy Day Care came first.
Right.
Um, she's the dog person, and she's the neighborhood person. She lives in a neighborhood of Los Angeles, of West Los Angeles, and she's lived there now, gosh, probably close to 30 years. So at that time, she had been already there for 10 years. She knew everybody. She knew a lot of the dog community. It's just a little neighborhood, just like all cities are. It's just another little neighborhood. And so one of the things that she said or observed was that there was no place for daycare or boarding, no place reasonable in terms of location or even expense. So she also had this idea of a community, a dog-centric community. Dog people generally like other dog people. And
Right.
so they kind of hang out with each other. A lot of dog people don't even like people other than dogs, dogs and dogs owners. So that all came about. And so she was busy I came out to California a couple of times to scout locations. We decided what was most important to us was safety. So, you live in a city, what you really care about is making sure that people can get into your facility and out of your facility with a dog, sometimes a big dog, sometimes like either really happy to go or really not so happy to go. So
Yeah.
we were really scouting around, and we ended up finding a place. Now, I had been out there to visit her several times, many times before that, but this was a different eye toward going out to LA. And we could have picked a much more trendy place, but we couldn't find any things that really were safe. So we found one right in her neighborhood. She was only about 6 blocks from her house. So
Oh, wow.
that yeah, that turned out like that was just amazing. And she negotiated the thing. She's that person. So when we were setting all that up, and we had to do some build out, I was responsible for doing the sourcing of all the equipment and the products that we'd be using in the business. And again, I wanted it to be eco, and I could not find any, Nancy. I figured in 2010. Now, so this is 2010 because I think her text to me was sometime in the fall of 2009. It must have been, yeah, fall 2009. I was like, it's California. There has to be eco stuff. And all I could find was stuff that looked green. You know, it looked like it would be eco, but it really wasn't. And then I started reading all the labels and looking up all the ingredients. Like Google got a workout, and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. So I couldn't figure out what we were going to do. And then I just decided, well, one of my good friends is a chemist from the Colgate Palmolive company, and he knows how to do personal care items. So I'll talk to him, and we decided to make our own. So that's
Wow.
how it came from. So
That's
we used it in
crazy.
our shop.
So you
Second,
started your facility, and then just out of, what is that saying?
yeah, the
Invention is the
necessity,
mother
mother of
invention.
invention.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Necessity is the
it was
mother invention. Yep.
classic. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was classic. So we had to hurry up because we were opening on in January of 2011. That was when we the official go down, and so we had to hustle. And so we've been using our products since 2011 in our shop. Two of the products have been there since the very beginning, and then we started selling to retailers. There was a place across the street from us, Hound Dog and Cat. And we also sold to Echo Bark, which is on Sunset Boulevard. And they've been our customers since 2012. And we knew them from the rescue community because my sister is very tightly tied into the rescue community. So that's how we
Wow.
started. Yep.
Wow. So I love the story that you decided you wanted to do eco. Why is it so important to you and your sister to have eco-friendly pet products? And then I want to know about the line more.
Um, it's well, two things. I scuba dive, and so I'm super attentive to the water, and I'm also become more and more aware of how, if something happens in one place that you think is pretty isolated, it's actually not isolated in the world. It affects the world, especially
Yeah.
groundwater. So anything that affects groundwater is going to affect the basic biology, essentially, the environment of the world. And so, I see what happens in diving. I see what happens to all my dive sites and the death of the coral. And so there's a
Yeah.
very personal connection. And my sister and I are both vegetarians. And so we have a little bit of a eco twist with that. And in general, we're very aware that this is a community what we all live in, and that we can't operate under the impression, or we shouldn't operate under the impression that we get to, do whatever we want. So that's kind of where it came from.
That's so cool. So
And also, it's terrible. The other thing is, like, Nancy, when you wash Cody,
yeah.
you don't want to be up to your elbows in toxins.
Heck
I mean,
no.
if you think about it, like, and this is the thing that people never really think of. I don't understand, but except I almost just forgot it. When you're giving your dog a bath, your arms, your skin, your organ is up
You're
to
being
your elbows
exposed.
in toxic crap.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has. I mean, I know there's some dispute about whether or not phthalates and parabens or endocrine disruptors, and whether they have an impact on people's reproductive systems. But our view is that if there's even a thought that that could be true, why would we take that chance? Especially since most of the industry, dog washers and dog groomers are, I don't have the stats, but I would bet money that they're mainly younger women. So younger women of childbearing age, why do you want to put them in danger of anything that could affect their reproductive system or endocrine system at all? Why would that be a good thing?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
you don't
kind of
think
where
about
that's the other driver.
yeah, you don't think about the groomers every single day exposed to what they're, washing their pets, their clients with. It's really
Yep.
important. I
Yeah,
agree with that. Like Cody, I love your product for Cody, and I'm not just saying that because you're
thanks.
on. I've been using it for years. We've
Yep,
talked about it.
yep,
But I also with him, he doesn't get any kind of toxins on his
right,
body or in his body, right? I'm
right,
very holistic when it comes to that with all of my
right.
dogs that I've had since I'm 25 years old.
Yep,
And, so I'm very specific about that. Even like flea and tick treatment when I go hiking, it's all natural, right? He
yep,
gets so much sprayed on him, and then I gotta give him a bath when I get home, right? So I don't have to worry about that getting
yep,
on him. So it's
yeah.
really it's important. And so let me ask you this: what kind of products you started out with a shampoo? I would imagine your very first product. Since 2011, when you guys launched your business and launched your product, how many more products do you have now in your line?
We have a total of 7 products in the line, and our our first 2 products were, it's kind of funny that they were actually, the reason we created them was for my sister, the way we created them. Um, because Karen is incredibly allergic to fleas. She has a really bad flea allergy. Now, she lives in LA, flea capital of the world, hot and dry.
Yeah,
Plus, she works with dogs, so she needed something that would repel fleas and ticks and mosquitoes and stuff like that for herself to survive in her business.
yeah.
And the dogs, we needed the dogs to be protected as well, partly for their own sake and partly for Karen's sake. So the both are Simply Fresh is the body spray, and which is where we invented first, and then Simply Clean Classic is our shampoo. They both share an aromatics and essential oils component that naturally repels fleas and ticks. So that's where we started, and that's what we still use in the store. And when we were introducing our stuff, we were doing a lot of local shows. We were certified by the Green Business Network, so we were going to green shows. We went to the Javits Center in New York one year, and a big
Wait, wait,
uh,
wait. So tell me more about the certification.
oh yeah, so I really wanted to get I wanted to get certified by Green Business America, and so because I like their pragmatic approach. They're not I don't know. I just find them, they have a very pragmatic approach to helping people get green. They don't expect you to be, instantaneously perfect, or they want to see you working toward a goal, and they want to see that that goal is measurable. And so back in 2014, I applied for our business and our products to be certified. So they wanted to know like how we set the shop up, what kind of operational equipment and operational processes and
Almost
so
like an
forth.
audit,
So
right?
it is. It's
Yeah.
essentially an audit, and now it is a self audit. So yes, I could have lied about things, but I didn't. But yeah, I guess you could. But I really like their perspective, because I'm a pragmatic green person. I know that there's not all the choices in the world, and some choices are just too expensive for regular old
Yeah.
people to make. So our goal is to try to get stuff out in front of people that we would want to have choices for about ourselves. We're not going to be able to do everything organic or 100%. So we really just committed to pragmatic goals that we knew we could live by, which were quote unquote the best we could do. That's our standard. Is that the best
Yeah.
we could do? Okay, that's good enough.
That's great.
So
So
that's where it came from.
let me ask you this. With your certification, launching products, launching a doggy day care with self-service, all of the things, which was harder, launching a product line or launching the facility?
Oh, the facility, because the product
Really?
line was mine. Yeah,
Yeah.
the product line was mine, so nobody expected anything, so I got to make it up. So I'm used
Gotcha.
to that from AT&T. That's and that was the thing that was easiest for me. It's still a little tricky because um, my friend Joe, who's our chemist and our developer, he's in Pennsylvania, and he's his own independent, stubborn creature. I'm an independent, stubborn creature. My sister is an independent, stubborn creature. My husband, Alan, who's involved in the business, is a stubborn, independent. So trying to drag all these people into one decision-making unit can sometimes be a headbanger, but it's was much easier. The facility is harder because we have such a responsibility. You don't really even,
Yeah.
you don't think about it until you think about it, which is
Right.
those dogs are people's family. And so
Yeah.
it's a sometimes a terrifying perspective on how we would set it up. Now, my sister set it up because she knew exactly what she wanted. Her whole goal is our motto is safe, happy, loved. Our first thing is always about safety. And
Yeah.
so the shop is designed that way, which means we had to have it set up that way and built out that way. And the facility is hard because we have to have employees, and it's not always easy to find people that share your standards and help them manage those all the time. So
Yeah.
much harder.
Yeah.
I only get to yell at myself on the product side. I do that well enough.
So how did the facility do during COVID? Because, businesses had to get locked down.
It was bad.
Yeah.
They lost about 80% of our revenue,
Yeah.
and my sister ended up basically living there 24 hours a day, probably I would say 18 months. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it was terrifying for her and for me because I was worried about her physically. It's physically,
Yeah.
but we have a big we have a relationship with rescues, and so we have rescue dogs in there all the time.
Yeah.
Rescue dogs don't care about pandemics or COVID, so
Right.
we have to be open 24 hours. Somebody has to be there. And we couldn't get anybody. If we could get them, we couldn't pay them because we don't have any incoming.
Yeah. Oh,
The rescue organizations are paying us, but at a reduced rate. So some of them were very generous. We got grants, we got SBA loans, and so all in all, we started to see the business pick up consistently this year. Last year there was a couple of false starts,
yeah.
but this year we've had a steady incline. We're about at, I'd say about 75% of our business now.
That's
And our
great.
landlord's been terrific. And
Yeah.
LA itself, the city of LA has been terrific, offering programs and grant money and all kinds of support. So it's been it's been a community, I say community loosely, of people helping. Yeah.
That's incredible. And I love that you shared that because, as you know, in the pet industry, we all love to talk about the ridiculous amounts of money that everybody makes. And not everybody likes to share the stories of, having it being a harder approach, what you went through during COVID. Living
Yeah,
at that
it's
at
brutal.
our own business for 18 months is just mind boggling. So
It
I
is.
really appreciate you sharing that because
Sure.
it's not always, the glamorous part of the pet industry, right? It's not always the
No.
cute dogs. And I think a lot of people, anybody watching the replay can understand that they've gone through similar things with their business, no matter what business kind it is.
Yep.
So I appreciate your,
Sure.
vulnerability talking about that because it's important. But I'm glad to hear that you're back up 75%,
Yep.
and hopefully it'll
Yep.
keep growing. I think more and more people are starting
Yep.
to get out of town and go on vacation and all the things.
I
So
know we've been so psyched about that. It's like, oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah,
So we've had to actually put up the sorry, oversubscribed now for
right,
doggy
right.
beds.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
So
good
that's
thing.
good. So I think it's just I think that's what people in the industry, the people coming in think that it is all about happy dogs and playing with the dogs and taking Instagram pictures with the dogs. And so that's one of the hardest things is finding employees that understand this is about making sure the dogs are safe
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that they're having a happy time and they feel like loved and confident. But that's not always like, you have to tell people, put your damn phones away,
yeah.
and get up there and clean up that poo or clean up that pee. And they're like, oh, we don't want to do that.
Listen, we talked about that at Super Zoo once, and I said, how many people here have a no phone policy for your
Oh,
employees? Only one
absolutely.
business out of like 90, I'm not kidding, people in the audience,
Mm,
because I was talking about it, raised their hand and then said, we have a very strict, and I said, can you elaborate and tell us what it is? Because unless that person's doing social media for you, right? They shouldn't
right.
necessarily have their phones. And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear that, but I mean, I
No,
remember when I was in college, we didn't have cell phones then, a
right.
little bit, older, but bringing all of my stuff was put in my locker in the back. I couldn't access that until I was on break. So,
Exactly.
that's
No,
what
it's
they
a
talked
safety thing.
about. Yeah.
It's just it's a terrible possibility. We had a silly situation last week. A little dog decided to go after a big dog, and that then triggered another dog, and it was an argle-bargle. It wasn't a fight. It was what I
Yeah.
call an
A lot of
argle-bargle.
noise.
A lot of noise. But if you're not paying attention, they can escalate. And if you
Right.
have some goofy kid just do, 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 do,
Yeah.
taking snaps, look at they're having a fight behind us. Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
we
really
also
important.
we don't let people post stuff on the internet without our permission because no, we don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Handling complaints on Google and Yelp is not my favorite part of the job, and that's one of
Yeah.
my jobs. So
Yeah. And
I don't
everybody's
want to
got
hear that.
something to complain about no matter what it is. So
It's the
it's
truth.
yeah, it's
Yep.
crazy. So tell
Yep.
me
Yep.
a little bit about your family has a 501(c)(3) charity called Kind Hearts in Action. Can you tell me more about
Correct.
that?
Sure. We started it as a charity back in 2000. I want to say 11 or 12. I don't remember. My sister was doing work even before we started the business informally, working with rescues and collecting money for rescues and so forth. And separately, my brother, his name is Ed Bond, he has a special interest in disability, canine disability. Distemper. I have disability on the brain. Wait, that might be a disability. Anyway, he has distemper. One of his dogs died from distemper, and he was
Oh,
so broken by that. Poor
yeah.
pup. But during that process, he identified a veterinarian named Al Sears, Dr. Al Sears, who developed a protocol for distemper. And my brother was passionate about getting that information out. And so he started a work called Save Dogs from Distemper that goal was to develop information about the protocol and work so that people who had dogs with distemper could get the protocol through their vet. So he was working globally. So he had people in the United States and in other countries. And then he started working with veterinarian schools to see if they would adopt it. So that Saving Dogs from Distemper was took over most of the energy around the 501(c)(3) in the last 5 years or so. We had done it during the pandemic. We also used our charity to raise funds for rescue dogs. So we would ask people to virtually adopt a dog.
Yeah.
So if they contributed X amount of money, that was worth, a night or two of boarding. So we used it for that so people could contribute that way as a way to help, build up our funds. But frankly, I find that the hardest part of our business, bar none, I don't understand how to ask for money like that in a legitimate way that, you know, actually develops money. I just, I can get one or two things, but there's a whole art form to doing that. And I
Yeah.
don't know how to do that very well. So,
Yeah, it's not easy, but I just wanted to jump back that that's an incredible thing that your brother was doing because
it is.
people need that awareness of
Yep.
any kind of disease. There's a lot of people that adopted pets through the pandemic, and you see all the
Hmm.
questions out there of people just not knowing. And I always
Yep.
say it's okay, right? You didn't know. What you don't know, you didn't know. So you ask
Right.
questions and learn. So bringing that
Yep.
awareness to that
Yep.
is
He wrote a book
really,
actually.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was a journalist for the Gannett organization up in New York State, and he's a good writer, and so he really buckled down. He wrote a book about it, and so he's since transitioned away from that. Well, once he had the book done, and once he made he still runs the information, but it's less all consuming. I
Wow.
have to
Well,
figure out how to raise money. I just don't know how to do it yet.
well, we could talk about that offline.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
there's definitely areas, but I mean, just the fact that you guys had all the grant opportunities and stuff like that for your facility in
Yep.
LA, that's really great.
Yep.
Um, and you'll have to tell your brother, thank you for raising awareness for me. So let him know that if he doesn't watch this.
Yeah.
So, all right, my next question to you is, what is your favorite thing about working in the pet industry?
Oh, I virtually adopted every one of those dogs out there. I
Aw,
love it's the dogs.
yeah,
That's my favorite part about it. It's about it breaks my heart when we have to report one of them. After, if you've been in the business long enough, you're going to lose them, some of the
Yeah.
clients. So it breaks our collective hearts when we lose one.
Yeah.
But when we see one of them, I see one of them on, when my sister sends me pictures and videos and stuff, it makes you smile. It's hard not
Yeah.
to be happy that, you were part of a dog being happy. It sounds
Yeah.
stupid, but that's really what it is.
It doesn't sound stupid at all.
And it's a
So I
lot
was
better than corporate life. I don't miss corporate life. I miss my friends and I miss the people I work with, but I don't
yeah,
miss PowerPoints or Excel spreadsheets or
right.
crazy meetings with the board of, directors or whatever.
Yeah,
No thanks.
yeah. Couldn't that meeting be an email?
Ah, could it not be at all?
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Right, right, right. So you adopted a dog recently. What kind of dog did you adopt and when did you get her?
Boo. I adopted Boo from the Trenton Animal Shelter. She's a pit bull.
Yay.
I think yeah, she's a pit bull. She's an American Staffordshire Terrier. She looks like a cow. She's tan. She was told she's 3 years old. We were told that she was 45 pounds. When we took her to the vet, she was 65. She's
Yeah, yeah.
80 now.
Uh-oh.
So I told Alan, stop feeding her cheese and hot dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
She's a sweetheart. She's a real sweetheart. We adopted her in November of last year. I had lost my beloved Abby and
Oh,
Charlie. Um, Abby and Charlie were both street rescues from LA, and Abby was at least 21, and Charlie
wow.
was 17, 18, something like that.
Wow.
And I lost. I also, at the same time, I had a street rescue cat named Panda. Um, and this is all courtesy of my sister, you might guess. Yeah. Panda and Abby died within 2 weeks of each other, and that was
Oh.
and Panda was 21 too.
I think I remember that.
So
Yeah.
it was terrible. It took me 2 years to
Yeah.
to not to even think about it, and so but then I was absolutely determined I was going to adopt a pit bull who really needed me. So
Oh, I
that's
love
our
it.
Boo. Yep,
She's
she's a
so
sweetheart.
cute. She's so
Alan never
cute.
had a big dog before, so he
Oh,
was like, "Oh my gosh,"
big dog
but
couch potatoes. My dog's passed out on the couch right now, so
totally, that's where Boo is, I'm sure. I don't know
yeah.
where she is, but the couch is likely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snoring away. Good thing his snores aren't
Yep.
being picked up.
And farting, I'm
So
afraid.
so what has
The
been your
bad thing.
what, that they're gassy pit bulls?
So
Yeah, I guess.
gassy, yes,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
gassy.
You gotta give them a little pumpkin.
Yes.
That will help with the gas. So what is your favorite, I'm sorry, what is the advice that you would give to somebody new just coming into the pet industry?
I think two things. Understand your costs. So really think it through what you think you're going to spend. Um, and that's one thing. And set your prices as if you were a guy. Um, and
I like that.
try not to panic in general. In general, the pandemic was terrifying for us in a lot of ways. You can imagine. And um, I, if I started to I just started to almost freak out because the money was terrifying. My sister would be like, okay, deep breath, one thing at a time.
Right.
And I think that really steadied us because we would say it to each other, one thing at a time.
Yeah,
And I think that's an important lesson in general, is especially when you're in startup mode, you can get way ahead of your headlights, and you have to
absolutely.
take a deep breath, go back to the money, go back to the costs and the prices, and go back to the one thing at a time. And I think it will help steady you. And I was just talking to somebody on Facebook recently about setting prices like a guy. It's because most women, I mean, I grew up in a very technical, male-oriented business area, so I have a slightly different perspective. But I'm still a woman, and so I still know deep down I have an instinct to want to um, uh, devalue my services, especially. So
Yeah.
I will instinctively, because that's the way our society has trained us to do, especially my generation, is you're just taking care of dogs after all. I mean, how hard could that be? Come on, you're just watching
Mm,
the dogs. That's just crazy.
yeah.
And so if you don't if you don't take the perspective is what you're doing is that you're caring for a valuable asset of a family, and you look at it from that perspective, and that's the way. So if I was in business, that's what I would have always. I always look at things. Okay, what is the financial value of this asset to the corporation? I would look at it that way, and that's much more of a business approach. And the same thing has to be done even with pet care. Like, okay, you're not providing a service as, oh, isn't that sweet? No, you are protecting and caring for a valuable asset of that family.
Yeah.
Therefore, you are responsible for that. Therefore, you should be paid accordingly. And that's a different perspective on services jobs.
Yeah.
So I think that's the piece of advice. Those are the pieces of advice I would counsel people to
I
take.
love that, because I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that before, and it's so true, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
generation, my generation, I think the younger generation is getting it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's so true. And also, the pet industry was not focused on, when we started out in 2009, like I launched my business in 2009, you started yours then. Even though I've been in the industry for longer than that, it was never looked upon as a professional industry.
Right.
And
Right.
now, as we see, everybody and their mother is coming into the pet industry. There's investors
Right.
all over the place, massive companies that you never saw at the trade shows, and we welcome them.
Right.
But it's also kind of funny how, 14 years ago, it was like, you do
Yep.
what do you do? So
No, exactly.
yeah, I love that piece of advice. Thank you for saying
Yep.
that. That's really cool.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
what's your non-negotiable daily habit that helps keep you grounded that you do?
And my husband and I play Scrabble every single day.
Oh, nice. That's
Yep. And that
awesome.
grounds us.
Do
Yep.
you play
It's
Wordle
all,
too?
we just started playing Wordle a month or so ago, so that is
Oh,
our
that's funny.
second thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Very
Yeah. No,
nice.
we love playing Scrabble. It's very grounding, and it's also a way to make sure one of us isn't really sick. I started COVID actually showed up with me in might have been Wordle. Oh, it took me 6 tries to get the word apron.
Oh God.
There's something fundamentally wrong with that. So I was like, what is going on? And I took my temperature, and my temperature was rising, and I turned out I had COVID.
Oh,
So I got a
wow.
lot sicker.
You were already
So
having
yeah,
the brain fog and you didn't even realize
yep,
it. Wow, that's
yep,
crazy. Well, I'm glad you're feeling
yep.
better now.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh my God. So, is there anything that you would like to add that I didn't ask you about Eco Dog Care or about the facility?
I don't think so. I think I pretty much covered everything. Um, yeah, we like to think of ourselves. Probably the only other thing I would say is that you know communities are so important, and one of the things that you see all over the place in the United States, at least, is communities like devolving. They really devolve, and so people don't really connect with each other. And so one of the things we also did during COVID is I would be trying to be as much part of next door, even though it makes me insane. Next door and Instagram groups, local groups, trying to do what we could to just add a sense of support for people and to get it back ourselves. I think that it's easy to get lost in all of the huge ruckus, and that
Yeah.
we think of dogs as being the closest thing to the ground because they're short. And so if you work your way up from the dog to the dog owner to the dog owner's friend who has a dog to all of those people shopping at a dog place in town, or all of them taking their dogs to our place in town,
Yeah.
it's all a community, and it takes an investment. You just can't like wander into it. You have to actually care enough about it to put in. And so I think that's the other lesson that my sister and I already were committed to. That's part of why we started where we did, but it really got reinforced in pandemic. Communities are a real sense of support and growth and life, and that you shouldn't discount them as being just an annoying Instagram thing.
Yeah, I love
So
that, because I saw that as well in my local communities and communities surrounded by where I am, whether it was pet, centric, or, going to your local pet store. Like, some people,
right,
when they couldn't find cat food, I'm like, go to your local mom and pop store, develop a relationship with them. They are always going
yep,
to have the cat food. They don't have any shortages. I
yep,
talked to like 20 people. So, like, that kind of thing. And then just also like takeout, ordering from the restaurants to keep them going.
right,
So,
Right. Yep.
I think that's really important, and building that
It
community
is.
where you are. If you're feeling lost, if you're feeling alone, get
Right.
involved in the community near you. I
Yep.
think that will help. I love that.
Yep. Yep.
So where can people connect with you? Where can they go to find out more?
Our website is Eco Dog Care. That's our products. EcoDogCareLA.com is our services. My email is ecodogcare@gmail.com.
Okay.
And so those are easy ways to connect with me.
Awesome.
So,
And we'll put
yep.
all that in the comment section in the links.
Cool.
And if you guys are watching and you want to learn more about Eco Dog Care and see their product line, if any retailers are watching, you have to contact Jane. It is a fabulous product, and I'm not being
We're
paid
on
to say
Fair.
that. You're on
Yeah,
Fair?
we're on Fair.
Awesome.
We're on. It took us a while to get on there, but we're
Yeah.
on Fair, and we're on something called Creo8, which I don't really understand
And
that one.
Fair is FAIRE, correct?
R-E.
Yeah.
Yes, FAIRE.ecodogcare.com is our direct link. And but I also don't care if you want to text me, email me, call me, and give your order. I'll do
Yeah,
that too.
definitely.
Yeah, don't care. Whatever's
Definitely.
easy.
I would love to see your products all across the country in many, many
I would
stores.
too.
Yes. I think it's a fantastic product.
But
And
did you see all the stuff that Kelly Ice is doing with Einstein Pets?
I did see it. She's
Oh my
incredible.
gosh. I told her she's like girl on fire, man.
She is.
So,
She is. We
yeah.
love Kelly.
I love Kelly. Yep. So.
All right, Jane. Thank you so
All right.
much for being here.
Bye.
And
Thanks, Nancy.
for everybody else, we'll see you soon on our next digging. We're going to be on holiday for a little bit, but we'll be back again for another live with digging into the pet industry soon. I hope you guys all have a great day, and we'll talk soon.